Right, well, we're partway through a cassette recorder job, and there's a video on that. We've not done any tape recorders, whether cassette or reel-to-reel, and there's a good reason for it. Unfortunately, I needed to order a belt for it. Where are they? I've got belts in stock. Where are they? I don't know. I went into two places they should be. They're not. So we're going to move forwards. We're going to do two Thunderpole T3000s. And this has such a story to it, this video. We're going to do both of them because there's not much to adjust in them. It's just presets, and they're usually pretty good off the peg, these sets. Now, I said, was it 5 or 6 years ago when we had bought the Nissan Leaf to use as a test car? I said initially we were using the from Midland 78 Plus Multi, the blue one, and the VCO, apart from the ching as it keys up, and these have a bit of a ching when they key up, don't get me wrong, but it's the way it's done, isn't it? The technique's changed over the years. When we had that, I said the only radio we tested, we were doing all the new sets. We've done all the TTI sets, we've done all the Intech sets, we did all the President sets, and all the makes in between. All the Midland sets. I said the only set that I would actually go out and buy to put in my own car would be a Thunderpole T3000. Well, about 10 days later, one appeared on the doorstep from Thunderpole as a gift. So there was a reason. They wanted me to do some research into something, which we did. And one of the complaints was that it's alleged that these overheated. Well, they don't. You know, so we set it up all properly, and we've never had that at all, and had them in use all day. I don't know what you'd have to do. Probably have the highest WR, the heater on full, and in an enclosed environment. Really don't know, but what a load of bull. They do work well, and they instantly switch from UK to CPT, and when on CPT, they switch from AM to FM. So it's all one push of a button, whereas so many sets, including some of the Thunderpole models, which aren't aimed at people quickly going from CPT AM to FM, can be a bit more cumbersome to program for the country code. So we've been using the Thunderpole T3000 ever since, and we always acknowledge our thanks to Thunderpole for kindly supplying that at no cost. And we tag the paid promotion because that's what it is. So we were fitting out the Nissan Almera, and the first video was doing the aerial. The second video was doing the power lead, and then I said on the video, well, we're going to have to wait a few days, we're going to have to save up enough pennies to get another Thunderpole 3000. It's no good putting another set of another type in that car because we want to use it as a test vehicle from time to time. Now, obviously, the Nissan Leaf's electric. We've got solar panels here. It costs diddly squat to run. That's it. Obviously, the Nissan Almera needs petrol putting in it, but there are times then Mr. Chippy could be out and about near Sleaford, which is where we're doing the tests, and I could just say, look, we're ready for a test, can you just pull one in? And it would save time. So that's why we need a second one. As you know, I have a van, which is a mobile Radio Shack. There is no CB in that at present. So I came home from doing a wedding on the 4th, yesterday. No, the 3rd is the 4th today, the 3rd of August 2024. Yesterday I was playing the organ for a wedding at Ancaster, and I came home and there were 3 parcels on the doorstep. One was a parcel of bits and pieces and ex-business radios from a regular person who sends us bits and pieces, so thank you to that person. The other was the cassette recorder coming from the United States, which I started the video on. And the third was this parcel. I thought, I'm not expecting this, and it said Thunderpole on it. I says to Chippy, we were just about to go out, just rip that open, will you? And we saw it said gift from. So we're gonna do. They've got virtually consecutive serial numbers. We've got 83 and 81. So we'll do 81 first. And obviously they will be different in the performance. But you can buy 100 radios, they're all going to be slightly different. It doesn't make any difference in the field, but whichever one turns out to be the best, we'll put in the car. The second one, because I'd never even thought we were ever going to do this, the second one can go in the van. So that gives us another thing, doesn't it? That's fantastic. So thank you so much. Now, who's it from? There is a letter, and I'm going to be careful because I don't want to mention any names, so I've redacted what we feel is too sensitive. So it's hello and thank you. Hello Richard and Mr. Chippy. Well, both Richard, but there you go. Hopefully by now you will have checked your mail / Porsche and discovered a delivery from Thunderpole today, Saturday the 3rd of August. This gift is from me and friends at www.eastantrim.net. Please have a look. So this is in Northern Ireland. We are a collective of CB and ham radio enthusiasts in County Antrim and beyond. Over the last 5 years, we've worked hard to keep lots of activity on CB 2070-81 and the EU band, in addition to ham radio interest. CB radio is alive and well in Northern Ireland. We run mobile net. I can't even speak. We run local net nights, usually chaired by somebody, portable or mobile on high ground. And on CB we've seen up to 50 local stations on air in an evening. Now I run a net on our 77's amateur radio repeater, GB3GR, every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and the most we've ever had is 16, and that was in COVID. These days we're lucky to get 4. Especially on CB 2070-81, and without the messing about of the early days. We also have local commuting nets Monday to Friday, morning and evening. The logbook statistics are staggering, show a huge number of local stations in just 1 year, and somebody is CC'd and will give me the numbers. So, for some time, CB has been helping us all with the grind of daily life, particularly during COVID. Many of us found, many of us, including myself, turned to your YouTube channel, were captured by your professional approach, dry wit, and a huge selection of CB models. We've got 250 different models. Many of us had as teenagers. It gave us inspiration to do a few repairs ourselves and of course to buy more CBs. I kid you not, Northern Ireland is partly responsible for the increase in CB radio prices. Whoops. Now, because this has happened, when I started this in 2014, you could buy a Binatone 5-star for a tenner. You could buy a Rotel 240 for £37. Try and get any of those in any condition under £40, you'd be hard pushed. And sets which are, what did I pay for that rather tired looking Maxcom 16E? £12.97. I mean, that probably would have been £3 before 1914. And if I look at the American offerings, if I went on to eBay American site, the sets for their country, obviously AM ones, the kind of, you know, you can buy them for £5. It's not so now with 2781. I've shown that a lot of these older sets are really good performance. Don't get me wrong, there's some rubbish, and we love some of the rubbish sets, like the Fidelity 1000. They work okay in a rural area, and some people absolutely love them. So, there are some superb collections here. One chap's got over 1,500 CBs. So some of you wonder why they aren't all on the air. Well, he's got 1,500 in a cupboard somewhere. So when you're sitting down to do filming, please remember there's lots of folks out there who really do appreciate it. Not just electronics works, but your knowledge and history of the CB, the importance, regulations, etc. So, yeah, so thank you for that. I hope the gift will be of use to you and Mr. Chippy, as it helps you have more CB radio adventures. Our regret is that we haven't had any decent sporadic e-skip from England in the last few years. We'd love to have got you and Mr. Chippy on a test on UK FM channel 31. Maybe it will happen one day. Well, they do have an amateur radio net on 40 metres, and we might be able to hear each other on there. You never know. So please keep an eye out for that website. You get a mention from time to time. We've even borrowed some of your expressions for our nets. We've got radio locations such as Scratchy Lane and Craggy Island. I looked up Craggy Island on Google, and it was the fictitious place where Father Ted was filmed, which was a television programme. Now, I don't have a television, so I've not seen any of that. Most of us live within 10 miles of the rural town of Ballyclare in County Antrim, and its handle is Square Town. So best wishes for many years of radio from both of you, 10 Tales We'll Catch You Again, and from these various people. And so I went on the net, and I get that. So isn't that lovely? So with that, oh, where is this place? Well, I also looked on Google, and so I've no idea. I can't go out. I can't go and do holidays because, as a church organist, I can't kind of let down the churches I work at. So I think we're there, aren't we? Let's just zoom in a bit. Right, so they're there, we're there, and so of course we're in Northern Ireland, and they're kind of parallel with Newcastle. So what's Newcastle? About 150 miles from here. It must be 250 or something like that. I've no idea, but it may well be doable on amateur radio. Not that I run much power. So that's where they are if we look at the British Isles. So if we zoom in a bit more into Northern Ireland itself, you can see that they're there. Then we zoomed in a bit more on the next picture, and you can see some of the towns around. So very, very kind of the breakers from County Antrim. Thank you so much, and we're going to be doing some wonderful videos. There we go. And of course thank you to Thunderpole for the one we use on all the tests. Right, we'll put this camera back into its correct position, and we'll open the first one up. Oh, got an instruction book with this one. All I've got to do is get it out of the bag. This is the kind of plastic that if you were in a cinema in a quiet bit, this is the kind of plastic that somebody would be doing their knitting with. That they brought their knitting wool and their knitting needles, and they'd be making this kind of noise. What a racket. So when you look at American slang, we were looking at some records and cassette tapes, weren't we, a few months ago, of American slang, some of which was adopted in the UK and some of which wasn't. I'll tell you what, we actually make a replacement Thunderpole 3000 lead, and if I use that, because this one has a cigarette lighter plug on and we're not geared up for cigarette lighter plugs, so I'll get one of those and we'll come back to the video. So the lead is the same moulding as the Cybernet built Amstrad and the Mustang and other sets that use that chassis with the round square, not with the other two ones, or certainly not with, the fake version of the Amstrad can have other connectors, and so can the very early version of the genuine one. So it's not that one, but we do have the mouldings for these. So it's the same moulding, but it's different polarity. Now, so we do both ones, and these are the proper mouldings. They're not a copy; they are the real thing. They're not new old stock; they are currently manufactured. All right. So we'll use our power lead, and then we're not chopping up the nice Thunderpole one which it came with. We've got it connected to the test gear. So there are other ones like the Geographics which look like this and obviously come out of the same factory, but the firmware is different and they're not as smooth, and with the going from one band to another, they don't do that quite the same. I'm sure there's a very big difference in quality control as well. So let's come on UK channels. We're going to optimise it on UK channel 1 because although I'm only interested personally in UK FM 2781 40 channels, because we're using these for tests, they need to be capable of working equally well on CPT in both AM and FM as well. So let's come on channel 1. We're going to do everything on channel 1, then it's in the centre of the band. So for those of you who don't realise this, you've got the CPT band covering 26965 megs to 27405. You've got the UK band, and it's 2779 2760125 to 2799125. So if you can imagine, we looked at this, I know 99.9% of you know this, just imagine you've got 26965, 27405 there, and then we start again with this UK band of 2760125 to 2799125. So we're actually just under 27 megs there, and we're just a tiny fraction away from 28 meg ham band here. So normally when we're doing the 40 channel set, we're going to do it on channel 20. If it was a CPT only set, we'd do it on channel 20. But when it's an 80 channel set, we need to either do it on channel 1 or channel 40 of CPT. So it's in the centre of the band. That's what it's about. So I have to reset the test equipment because we normally have it on set at channel 20. So everything we're going to do is going to be on channel 1, and that's the reason why. Let's pop the squelch down. And we need to connect our test equipment to the extension speaker socket, just like that. Turn the volume down for now. And I can't see my radio in my picture. There we go. What do we need to do next? Make sure picture-in-picture is on. Well, hey, it works. Well, it's working on my monitor. So, I said a million times before, I'm using a commercial Marconi test instrument. This is intended for business radios, and it is totally different the way it's going to read to one made for the hobby. But if anybody was ever inspected by a government inspector, they're going to be using a commercial test set and not a Zetagi power meter. So I'll put it on the 30 watt scale. So there's 5 watts, so there's 4 watts. So key it up. Oh, we've got current limit in place. Need to change that because these modern sets draw more current than the older sets, with them being computer controlled. Yeah, it's 1.8 amps. So as it's come out of the box, it's doing 2.8 watts. So what we're going to do here, channel 1 CPT, channel 1 UK, channel 40 UK. So this is as close to the middle we're going to be able to manage. So let's pop it onto channel 40, see what it does on that channel. And it does 2.7 watts. I never wrote that down, did I? I never wrote the other one down, and I've forgotten already. It was 2.7 watts there, wasn't it? And you know, we can go on the 3 watt scale, can't we? There's a bit of overlap here. We're going to start again. We've got 3 watts. Channel 40, we've just got 3 watts, 2.99. So again, I'll put 3. And on channel, we go to CPT, change the band, EU, and we go to channel 1. It's doing more power than that. So 3.1. Doesn't have low power because it's not a 2781 set, it's a CE-MultiNorm. And let's go back to UK channel 1. The current consumption is 1.88 amps. Deviation, now we're going to be doing it properly on the test set behind, but it's a quick test. Wallow, it's showing it 2. We won't be adjusting the VCO because there's no method. And as far as the frequency goes, I'm going to go to channel 20 for this, because that's how we always do it. It's not going to change over the 80 channels available. It's 2779117. So it's neither here nor there. It should be 79125, which makes no difference. So on receive, we're going to go back to channel 1 of CPT. It's the only frequency we're going to do the sensitivity test on. So it's 2760125. We'll have to change the main thing. We'll leave it at that because that's what it's transmitting on. So let's look at the synod meter. And it's doing 0.25. This isn't adjustable. 0.21 and nearly knocked my pot over again. 0.56. So that's excellent sensitivity. Squelch. So I'm going to turn squelch to full. I like it to be 100 micro. I can't remember whether it's adjustable on these. It's a bit tight. It's 3 millivolts. And our threshold, I parked it at 0.3 of a microvolt. We'll just set the squelch on the radio. For threshold, switch the signal generator back on. I'll show you the attenuator. Got it at 0.62 there. It's 0.68, it's excellent. And we'll just look at auto squelch. Put an extra box in. Auto squelch. It's 1.3 microvolts. Okay, so with 100 microvolts on the signal generator, we get a bar graph here for the relative signal strength, and it's showing 1 above 6. If I just go a bit stronger, you can see it's put the 7 up, go a bit stronger still. So for it to do S9, it is quite a heavy 950 microvolts. This is pre-programmed. It's not adjustable. So when we key up, it gives us a full set of bar graph across. Yeah, well, I can promise you I could take the output transistor out. It will still give a full bar graph. It's just an indication it's transmitting. But it's not like the older sets, which was a relative power meter, because it isn't. So meter lamp it doesn't have. Switches are fine, it's a new set. I will just make a note, new set. Doesn't have that, and of course it's got a working mic and it's got a working speaker. So we'll open it up. So it works properly, but it could do with a little bit more power. I do recall they usually do 4 watts. So a bit of a swine to take apart. I'll pause the video. No, I won't. We'll turn it off, and just need to pop these screws out. Notice it's 12 to 24 volt without adjustment. How many of you remember me doing that Moonraker set that said it was 24 volt and it blew up? It made me jump and you had magic smoke. But I sorted it out. The box said 24 volt, but the set said 12. So when I sorted it out, those of you who remember that incident will also remember I didn't bother trying it on 24 volts even when I'd sorted it out with a higher voltage capacitor. Not once bitten, twice shy and all that. I think it was a printing error. I don't think they were being disingenuous. So one of the problems with this is I think we have to lift the bonnet up that way. It's the opposite to what you think. It's all fiberglass construction. I can't remember whether we have to go on. I don't think we have to go under this board. No, there's nothing under that board. I've done quite a few of these, so anyone who needs greater detail can probably look in the back catalogue. Some of these are labelled. So we're going to do power and then we're going to do deviation. Let's go back to the power meter. Switch the radio back on. Get dazzled by these LEDs. So we're on channel 1. UK, and there we are at 4 watts. So it's yeah, it's one that says 4 watts on it. So, the next thing we're going to do is deviation. I'm going to do it on this meter and we'll double check it with the one on the test set behind. Wow, it's just a little bit quiet. Oops, trying to balance the radio and twazzle it at the same time. Wow, that should be a peak of 2.5. Just pop it on the test set behind me, seeing as this deviation meter can play up. Could do with its capacitors change, which is not going to get it. If I was 10 years younger, I would. Wow, it's still a bit quiet, so we're obviously playing up today. So it's balance it, hold it up and adjust it all at the same time. Wow, wow. That's 2.5 peak. Before I do AM modulation, I'm just going to check with some information that Thunderpole sent me, just because there's two presets there and I can't remember whether they affect an 01's AM modulation. One could be modulation depth, so I'm just going to check in case we've got any notes. Okay, so what information I've got, I don't have the details I was looking for on which one's which. So we need to switch to AM. And we need to not press the button on the set because the button's there, isn't it? And then through to AM. So we'll just have to tune in our test set. That'd be less movement if I'd move it to channel 40 AM. Still doing 4 watts. Better unplug the extension speaker. Is that what's coming through? Yeah. Wallow. Well, it's well over the top. It needs turning down. So a maximum our machine reads is 90%. So none of your American 100%. Use the oscillator. Just can't remember which one it is. Doesn't appear to be that one, so we'll go for the other one. That one. Wallow. There we go. It's 95 there. It's just the top one. Just out of interest, what happens if we adjust the bottom one? At the end of the day, it's my set. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I just don't know what that is, so we're not going to touch it. So still make sure we've got 4 watts. We have. Make sure that isn't what's affecting the power. No. So we've done power, we've done FM deviation, we've done AM mod. That's all the adjustments there are. we're going to do an on-the-air test with one of these, not with two. That's silly. And we're going to do an on-the-air test with the whichever one proves to be the worst of the two. Right, so just check the power on FM. And then we'll take a break and do the second one. So we're on channel 40 UK. It's 4.05 watts, but it's cooled down. Channel 1 is 4.05 watts, and we go to CPT band, channel 1, it's bang on 4 watts, probably because it's warmed up. If we go back to we go back to UK channel 1, the current consumption is now 2.2 amps. We know the deviation. Wallow. Let's retune it. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Well, this is reading wrong today. We know it's 2.2 to 2.5 because the other test set says so. AM mod. Was greater than 95%. It's now 95%, and you can end up with squedging when it causes interference. So we've got this no alteration here because there are no adjustments. That's pre-programmed, so it does nothing, and none of this changes. So it's just the power and the deviation that will have changed. So, but this is what I'm choosing the set on. The other one will do 4 watts. I'm going to choose whichever one does this the best. There we go. Just pop it on aerial and go 19A Roger. I'll put it back in its box, ready to be installed. Well, no, Roger. See what's on. Somebody out there. Well, no, Roger. So on CPT now. SSB.
Funk ist alles gelaufen, die hat Leute gefunkt da drüber. Die hat es auf dem Sofa gehabt und dann bin ich irgendwann einmal aufgestanden und denkt,
You can hear that fading on the skip. It's Germany, isn't it? He said funk, which means radio. Right, let's go to AM. One Nano Roger. And we'll go back to UK. There we are. Right, we'll disconnect this one and we'll go on to the next one. Right, so we'll move on to the next one with the 3 in the serial number. So we've kept the mic back from the other one. There we go. As the box says, these have got multicolour displays, but for the demonstration we're just leaving it. I've shown these sets many times before in greater detail. So without looking at that one, out of the box. So EU channel 1 UK, channel 40 UK. We know that doesn't happen. This is just, as I said, it's just a TX indicator for transmit. So we're on UK channel 1. And it's 1.86. And the power output is 3 watts. Let's go to, what am I doing? I'm putting that in the wrong box. Right, we'll go to CPT. .1, and we go back to UK channel 40, 3 watts. This is a little tiny bit higher, but it doesn't make any difference because it's adjustable internally. So deviation on here. We need to go back to 1 while it's showing us 2. Can't do that. Frequency, put the frequency counter. Let's go to channel 20. Seven, 9, 1, 2, 3. So that's slightly more nearer the mark. It really doesn't matter. This makes absolutely no difference. So we've done that. As I've said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether the sets. If I make this radio do 1 watt or whether I make it do 4 watts, that is still going to bang across because it's programmed to do that. So I just tick it off because, you know, it's how modern sets. I think the Midland 78 still uses it, but it's an old design, isn't it? Even if they keep updating it. So it's new set. Doesn't have that. New set. So back to channel 1. And this is what we're selecting on receive. So let's go over to the cyanide meter. put a bit more volume on so it's fair. So this one's doing, out of the box, 0.31. So it's not variable anyway, so what you get is what you get, 0.25. And for 20, .68. Squelch. So this is non-adjustable. Exactly the same. 3 millivolts, which is harsh. Set a threshold. Let's go to these attenuator controls. You can see what I'm doing. Got it in standby. Parked it at 0.3 of microvolt. Signal generator back on. .8. Right. Open it up. Well, this time we're going to just start with the deviation. So I've got it connected to the other test set. See what it reads on there. Wow! Do you know it's virtually no, I don't need to adjust it. It's spot on. Wow! It's 2 point. The absolute peak is 2.3. I will just touch it, but this is so close to where we want it to be. Wow! Incredible, one to another. Right, we'll switch that test set off. Right, so having done that, we'll just set up the transmit power. So we're still on UK channel 1 because we're in the centre of the band. Key up, go on to the 30 watt scale. Dazzled by the light on this. And there we go at 4 watts. So I'll get the clipboard back. 4 watts on channel 1. Channel 40. 4 watts. Channel 1 CPT 2.9. Right, go back to channel 1 on UK. Check our power consumption. It's 2.19. So we've done the deviation. It's now 2. It was actually 2.3, so really close. 2.2 to 2.5. Just apart from bringing the power up, and you know the 3 watts I'm reading would be more than 4 watts on a hobby type meter. So just need to. We've done the frequency because you can't change it. We just need to do AM mod. So let's go back to AM mod. We want CPT. Let's go to channel 40. It means me moving the knobs less on the test set. No matter what channel we do it on. There we are on EU AM. Wallow. Oops, I'm in the wrong mode. 1 to wallow. 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 And this one, it needs to come up a bit. So it was a bit too loud on the first set, but not so on this. The top adjustment. Wah. Wah. Oh, it's the top one, isn't it? One, two, wah, wallow. 1, 2, 1, 2. Just make sure it's in tune because that's not reading how I'd expect. So plug the speaker. We've done all that. One, two, it's better. We weren't quite in tune on the test set. Wallow, wallow. Got 90%. It's just AM. So we just want to do auto squelch. That's something I've just overlooked. There's no adjustment for that. So we're going to check the power on AM. It's 4 watts the same. Right, we'll get the screws in it. Right, there we go. Squelch. I may as well go back to, let's see where we are on the, we'll turn picture in picture off. 2760125. And let's have a look at the squelch on auto. And on auto it's 1.75. Oh, we never checked the S meter either. So 100 microvolts reads exactly like the other one. And to get S9, this radio requires 950 microvolts. So that's not how this is supposed to be calibrated. It's not adjustable, and it really doesn't matter anyway. Good. Right, we'll take it off the test equipment, turn the test equipment off. So tomorrow we'll fit whichever one in the car. That'll be another video. And then we can do an on-the-air test, can't we? Testing the test car. That'd be funny. Yeah, we're doing a normal on-the-air test with one of these on the bench. Right, we're on the aerial now. Absolutely nothing. One Anna, Roger. It's tea time again. Anna, Roger. AM. Absolutely nothing. Well, now let's have a look at the figures. So, look at the current consumption, 2.197, 2.2. So the first set we did draws very slightly more current. So we had 2779.123, 2779.117 to 123. Really doesn't matter. Sensitivity on the first set was very slightly better than on the second set, but it's all, you know, is it receiving another 6 inches? So theoretically the first set is the better performing receiver, but it's so marginal. You'd only start noticing a difference if we were talking about 0.7 here instead of 0.25. Most of the Maxcom 4s are going to do around 0.7. some of the Cybernet sets have done 0.2, like the Binatone 5-star. It spoke. You know, just some will exceed the specification. If you're looking at Uniden type sets, you're usually looking at 0.9 of a microvolts. They're considerably less sensitive than the Cybernet sets. We're looking at Fidelity thousands, which of course are as wide as a barn door on the receive. You're looking at about 0.4 microvolts. So really sensitive set is so marginal. But the first one is very, very marginally better receive. But, so that's the one we'll put in the car. So we'll do the on-the-air test with the second one, leave it on the bench, and we'll do the normal on-the-air test to Mr. Chippett in the Leaf. So we'll be doing this from one Thunderpole 3000 to another, which is good fun. And we'll be able to test it on EU and AM as well. So there we are. So thank you once again to the breakers in County Antrim who've been so kindly disposed as to send me two, not just one, but two Thunderpole T3000s. It certainly sorts out the Almera, and it's going to sort out the van, which I never even was just going to shove a Midland 78 in and not use it for any precision tests. And I hope you all found that interesting. And once again, these sets work great. Thanks for watching.